Is this similar to what you're doing on your commercial side? And so what's ballpark for how many people you have working on proposals when you have your average size proposal today? 2? 2? Yeah, we're small companies, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
This was more than what it takes to build half the stuff.
Exactly. Then you need to start marketing the program. So those of you that are CEOs need to have something in place to help you decide whether you should go after this opportunity or this opportunity. And that's that bid decision process. So as a proposal team, I'm trying to secure internal support from upper leadership to pick my opportunity to go after, right? I also need to get internal support from any support organizations within the company. So do I need to rely on my engineering department to get certain expertise? Or do I need to rely on my design department and to get those people supporting this? And then you need any other people to work on the proposal effort. And you know, we're small businesses. So we have our full-time jobs and we're doing this at night, right? And weekends, trying to get this thing together because we want to grow the business in the future. So oftentimes this is as another duty as assigned, even though it's a lot of work. You also want to secure external support. So what can you learn more and more about the customer? Because that information is going to be helpful to you to win the proposal. What can you figure out about your teaming partners? And also, what can you figure out about your competition? Who else is going after this? And what might they do to win this contract? Then you actually develop the solution. Now, if you're just selling product to the government, you're going to have a very simple technical solution. You're not going to probably have any management solution at all. Your contract solution is just going to be that you review the RFP document because it, coupled with your proposal, will become the contract. And your business solution is your pricing. So it could be a very simple process if you're just selling product. It becomes more complicated if you're doing products and services. So think about what kind of problems do you get into, or have you seen other companies get into, in the commercial world on proposal efforts? This is where you talk and I sip water. No problems on your existing proposals?
Well, the RFPs, like I said, the experience I've had, where they either copy and paste or they get 4 different people who really don't have a firm understanding of what it is you're trying to ask. And they ask silly questions that you wonder, why are they even in the position they got? That's the problem that I've run into.
Mm-hmm. So to that point, these RFPs end up, no one ever says that this is a wonderfully written RFP. Usually there's always disconnects because it's written by a committee and one group's not talking to the other group. But I will tell you the complaint that contracting officers have about our proposals. They feel that we get an RFP and we press a button on our computer and it spits out a proposal. Like, they don't feel that we have tailored our solution to their requirements. In fact, they've told me that there have been times when they are reading the proposal and it's talking all about Department of Energy and their Health and Human Services. So understand that you have to write a compliant proposal to the customer whose RFP you're addressing. You can't take your standard marketing brochure and chunk it in as a proposal going into the government, because you will be deemed non-responsive. You have to address their requirements. You have to put information in the order that they have it in section L, and if you're not willing to go through that effort, then don't go after government contracts. Because the term, you really have to be highly specific and responsive to their RFP. Otherwise, they just kick you out of the competitive range. It's not worth the effort. Okay, So now, let's say, for example, the government issues on FedBizOpps a draft RFP. So a draft RFP is a really good thing because it's not due yet, and you get a chance to look at it, what they're thinking. So when they issue the draft RFP, it's in your best interest to review it in detail. So if in fact you have separate people running your technical solution, your contract solution, your pricing solution, and your person overall in charge, at a minimum, those 4 people or those 4, you should review it with those 4 functions in mind to see if there's anything in that draft RFP that you don't understand. Either not understand or would be quote unquote a deal killer for you. Something that would cause you not to bid on this deal. And what you want to do is identify what those items are from the perspective that you're looking at it. So if you're the program manager and the technical manager, look at it first from a technical manager perspective, and then look at it from the hat of a program manager with overall responsibility. Because those 4 areas are what you want to hone in on to see if there's any issues. And then you want to get together as a leadership team and say to each other, these are the issues that I've identified in my area, and talk about them across the board as to whether or not it's how big the issue is for you, and whether it's going to cause you not to bid, or whether you want to try to get the language changed. Because in a draft RFP, you can send a letter back to the customer and say, these are the specific areas we have issue with, or these are the specific areas we have questions about. And they will answer or review your recommended language and perhaps put it in the final draft or the final RFP. So that's why it's important that you respond to that draft RFP. It lets the customer know you're interested, and it alerts them of any potential problems with their RFP. Because chances are, if you have an issue with it, your competitors have an issue with it too, and you need to change it. When we talk about shaping the procurement, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about giving them suggested language so that they will use your words as opposed to the ones that they have that aren't very helpful to you. Next thing you want to be doing is gathering marketing intelligence. So anything that you can glean about your customers' needs. So, you know, if you're reading federal publications and they're talking about a significant problem that the government's having, you can use that information in your proposals. You know, think about how has this customer, what kind of problems might they be experiencing? And let's face it, you've all been in business and you've had commercial clients and you know what problems they've had. So you can extrapolate that your commercial customers are probably going to have the same problems your government customers are going to have. And if you demonstrate that you understand what kind of potential problems they have and how you're going to be able to solve them, you give the customer a very warm, fuzzy feeling that they should pick you because you're going to be with them through thick and thin. So you want to sort of present that, hey, we know your world, we know other customers who have implemented the solution and what kind of potential problems they have, and we're going to help you fix it. And then attend the bidders conference so that if you can find teaming partners or potential subcontractors or hear the government. Now what will happen at a bidders conference is everybody will come in and they'll sign in the bidder sheet. And you want to look at that bidder sheet to see who all is there, right? So you can figure out who your competitors are, who you potentially team with, who you could potentially sub to, etc. And then they're going to open it up for questions. And people are very funny at bidders conferences because if I have a question that is going to show my competitive advantage, am I going to want to say it in an open forum? No. So some people dance around what they talk about at bidders conferences. But still, there's valuable information that is provided there. The only thing that you have to keep in mind, and if you can't make it to a bidders conference, it's okay because the RFP does not change as a result of the bidders conference. The RFP changes when there's an amendment to the RFP that will be posted in FedBizOpps. Okay, I've had 7 yawns in the class. I'm going to finish this slide and we will take a break. Very subtle group, very subtle.
We start headsets.
If you're prior to the Fed Biz Ops, in other words, if you're still in the draft stage and you have a new way of doing things, you could privately submit a position paper, we call them white papers, to the government outlining, showing what your position is and maybe a different way of doing it. So you can do that in a position paper and they won't publish that to everybody. Always put a disclaimer at the bottom that this is for evaluation purposes only and should not be shared with anyone outside the government. And then respond to draft documents. Okay, let's take a break. I'll see you back here at 1:30.